10, yeah, just about 10. And it's segmented into two. We begin with our issue of the day, which is always a pertinent issue that we look at in microscopic detail, well, as much as time will allow us for the first 1 hour. And then from 9 to 10, we transition to paper review, newspaper review, where we look at the stories making headlines. And all in all, we try to bring you the stakeholders involved in whatever issue it is we're dealing with for our issue of the day. And for newspaper review, we bring to you a public affairs analyst, a social commentator, and of course, you also lend your thoughts to our discussion, whatever it is, via our social media channels. We have Facebook, Twitter, we have WhatsApp. Facebook is Splash FM 106.7. And if you check us out there, you'll find that we're live streaming and you can watch, listen, and comment. We'll also be live on Twitter Space. Splash FM 106.7 is our handle. Hashtag is Panorama. It'll help us track your tweets. And WhatsApp number is 0817 555 1067. Good morning. I'm Lola Meduteni.
My name is Boyega Olani. Welcome to the program this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. And just like Lola has told you, there are several channels through which you can join this conversation. For our Twitter followers, we're live on Twitter Space at the moment as well. And anytime during the course of the program, you can drop a comment as regards whatever it is we're discussing at that particular time. WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, all available channels for you this morning. So welcome once again to Panorama.
That's right. Today we'll be looking at the astronomical rise in diesel price and its multiplier effect. But first off, why should you care about the price of diesel? After all, it isn't as though most people buy it for their individual and household needs. Your cars are run on petrol, as are the generators powering your household. So again, why should you care about the over 200% increase in the cost of diesel in the last 1 year?
For starters, diesel is to businesses, factories, plants, companies, and industries as petrol is to cars and homes. Amidst frequent power outages and unreliable electricity supply, both petroleum products are considered the lifeblood of homes and businesses. The factories manufacture the goods you buy using electricity powered by diesel. The companies, supermarkets, use diesel-powered generators to keep things running. The trains that carry both people and goods from one part of the country to another are also diesel-powered, as are the articulated trucks that transport food items and other materials across the country.
Therefore, while you may not directly be purchasing diesel for your own needs, it is used in virtually every sector you interface with. And with the erratic power supply that has gotten even more erratic in the last few weeks, not to mention the astronomical jacking up of diesel prices, they estimate that Nigerians currently spend about 12 trillion naira on self-generating power generation annually is bound to shoot up.
Data from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, indicates that diesel was initially sold for 225 naira per litre in January 2021 and never crossed the 250 naira mark in the first 3 months of 2021. Diesel prices closed the year 2021 at well under 300 naira per litre. By late January 2022, it was averaging 350 naira per litre. It hovered around 450 to 500 naira per litre weeks ago, shot up to 650 per litre days ago, and is presently somewhere above the 700 naira mark, according to the most recent report. The NBS data also reveals that diesel price was 131 naira 47 kobo in June 2015, when the Buhari administration came into power.
Unlike fuel, diesel is deregulated and not a subsidized product. Therefore, marketers are allowed to sell at any price provided it is determined by demand and supply. Marketers often raise diesel prices if the economics of product supply and cost of delivery requires them to do so. Energy prices of petroleum products such as diesel, aviation fuel, kerosene, and gas have seen a rapid climb as the war between Russia and Ukraine rages on, something that experts had earlier forewarned of. It isn't rocket science to deduce that, given that Russia is a major energy stakeholder, the second largest producer of oil globally, and Nigeria largely depends on imported petroleum products. Brent, which is the global oil benchmark, hit $113 per barrel last week.
Our issue of the day this morning centers on the astronomical rise in diesel price and its multiplier effect, which we will be looking at in detail.
I'll be speaking with S.A. Osawanyi from SBM Intelligence for that. But before that, our newsroom compiled a report. They spoke to stakeholders within the energy sector and did a report on the hike in the price of diesel. We'll listen to that and then we'll start the conversation.
Panorama.
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 Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
The scarcity of petrol and the abrupt rise in diesel costs has pushed up the cost of production for most goods and services, making it impossible for manufacturers to keep their businesses open, leading to the inflation of basic commodities in the country. In Nigeria, where most households and business organizations depend on generator and alternative sources to generate power as a result of epileptic power supply in the country, the rise in the cost of diesel, among other petroleum products, has further increased the sufferings of most Nigerians who are already living far below the poverty threshold. The rising cost of diesel has also seen businesses that cannot afford to buy the products having to close down, leading to a massive loss of jobs, increased unemployment, increase in the price of goods and services, as well as poverty in Nigeria. Speaking with Splash FM News on the impact of high cost of diesel that now sells between 720 and 750 naira, some business owners lamented its impact and called for urgent intervention from the relevant authority in stemming the tide.
The prices of petroleum materials, crude oil materials, particularly diesel, has affected us, and it's really killing business in Nigeria today, because in the past 2-3 months, the rate at which the increment has occurred has been very, very unbearable. For barely 2-3 months now, we have experienced close to 100% increment in the price, which has drastically reduced the profit margin the company is supposed to be enjoying. And basically, for the fact that most of our goods are such that we can't just put price on, we are forced to some extent to be selling at almost cost of production. So the prices
pounds 440 pounds 750 naira per litre now. I don't know how to check the calculation, but before we are buying it around 170, 180, and I check to the price we are buying it now is too high for the production, and to produce every day is not easy in this country. And there is no light. Everybody know that. But there is no light. It's generator we are using to sustain our business.
It has reduced our profit margin. Before, diesel was 420 naira per litre. Just in a single day, the price was increased by 120 naira on a single litre. So our customers, they found it difficult to place all their orders. And not only that, even simultaneously, the cost of granite also increased by 2,000 naira on a ton, which, it's like adding, it's like a salt upon injury. So because of this, our business has been very slow, The order we get is very minimal compared to how it used to be.
They therefore appeal to the federal government and other relevant stakeholders to urgently come up with a permanent solution to the increase in cost of petroleum products in the country, as it is fast making life more difficult across all sectors.
And that is why we are urging the government to help us to work on this diesel. It's fuel or petrol fuel that most people are using. That's why we don't consider to help most industry about this diesel. That is why it's not easy for us to produce every day, because we are using diesel. Business to survive in this country is not easy.
Láti 420 sí 650 òun rèé ó dín lọ 720
normal price tó wà tẹ́lẹ̀ ẹ ṣé o. According to the Diesel Price Watch report released by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), the average cost paid by Nigerian customers for a litre of automotive gas oil, popularly known as diesel, recorded a significant increase of 28.12% from 224.9 naira per litre recorded in January 2021 to 288.1 naira per litre in January 2022. Similarly, as at the first week of this month, it was sold at 545 naira in some fuel stations across Lagos State and its environs. This is an increase of over 1 January 2021. As at today, the price is pegged between 720 and 750 naira for a litre of diesel. Ajedoyin Olojede, Splash FM News.
Panorama.
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 Panorama. Panorama.
Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
That report there where the newsroom spoke with some business owners that use diesel in the running of their businesses and how it has impacted business operations and even cost of production. And now we'll get into detail with it with S.A. Osawanyi, who is an analyst with SBM Intelligence. She joins us via the telephone now. Good morning, S.A.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So,
thank you for having me.
The surge in the price of diesel and other petroleum products, because we've even seen aviation fuel also shoot up, and airlines have increased their airfares. In fact, since about the 1st of this month, they've doubled their airfares by 50% or thereabout, or even 100% in some cases. So the surge in energy prices, it's a global thing due to the Russia-Ukraine war. It isn't just Nigeria that is feeling the bite of it. Other countries are feeling the bite of it. Why do you think it is that, in spite of the fact that this is something that is global, economists and analysts in Nigeria are sort of predicting doom and gloom for the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian people as a result?
Okay, thank you so much. Like you rightly said, the surge in crude prices is global, thanks to Russia's invasion to Ukraine, which started February 24. And, prior to that, oil prices were just gradually recovering post-COVID. And there are three factors that mainly drive oil import prices in Nigeria. Now, the diesel market is deregulated in that market forces drive prices in the market, unlike PMS, petrol, that is being subsidized by the government. You have the cost of international crude, we have exchange rate value, as well as the landing cost. Now, while, like you likely mentioned, that economists and analysts are saying that it's doomed for the industry because of the exchange rate value. Currently, the exchange rate value is 415 naira. Unfortunately, most of the marketers are unable to assess FX at this rate and have to go through the black markets, which have since been banned by the CBN last year. Unfortunately, it's been difficult for them to access the dollar. So, putting that into perspective, the current rising cost of crude in the market, exchange rate value and landing cost is what is impacting in the market. Naturally, the Nigerian government should be happy that the cost of international crude is going up, because since we are an oil-producing nation, that should impact on our oil revenue. But unfortunately, as much as we produce oil, we do not have the refining capacity locally to service the consumption market, be it for diesel or for petrol. So we still import oil refined products into the country, and that is why. And that directly impacts on all the activities in the market, be it transportation. It has direct impact on inflation, cost of living, and the like. And we are just coming out of a recession thanks to COVID. The impact is had on businesses. Even the aviation sector is gradually recovering and trying to get back on air. So this is like a huge setback for the industry as well as the economy at large.
So, how bad do you think the situation could get if this the price of crude oil in the international market keeps soaring the way we've been seeing it in the last few weeks?
Okay, so in terms of scarcity, the marketers have continued to make use of governments, right, to access forex. You've also seen the airline operators had a conversation with NNPC and the government to say we have the money to import directly, because the reason why we're experiencing this cost is because of the middleman approach, that is the marketers bring in the product and the airline have to purchase from them. While we're really experiencing scarcity, aside the fact that the cost is high, it's also that marketers are giving preferential treatment in some form. And how do I mean? Because of the scarcity of dollars, they prefer to sell their product to foreign airline operators who would buy in dollars. So that makes them have more money to import more products into the country and also selling to the highest bidder. So you're seeing, and most of the operators in Nigeria oftentimes buy in credit, in that they get the product and pay at a later time, and the marketers will not have that leeway to their customers, to their regular customers. So that's why there's that huge gap. You have operators who do not have the finance to meet up to what the marketers want them to pay, and you also have marketers who prefer to sell directly to foreign airline operators, even when they even have local airline operators are willing to pay in naira. Because even when you get the naira, to convert to access dollar to now purchase your product, bring into the country is a bit of a challenge for them. So there's still that huge gap. So if that is not properly managed, if they are unable to get that guarantee that even if they do business with the local operators, they're able to access forex as at when used in order to keep on importing into the country, that issue will persist. And also, it's also going to be bad depending on the Russia-Ukraine situation. Russia is the third largest oil producer in the world, post-US and Saudi Arabia. 10% of global oil produce is being produced by Russia. And the sanctions to Russia by the US, the Western countries, and even Europe following suit has an impact in the market. And currently, the market is being driven by geopolitical arrangements. So the geopolitical formations, you see countries positioning themselves. That's what is driving the market, not necessarily supply and demand. So there's supply fear, right, because of the issue in Russia. So geopolitics is what is driving it. And depending on how that pans out, that would also impact the prices of crude, which since we have not put refining locally and get most of our refined produce imported into the country, the ripple effect will get back to Nigeria. And because of the naira to dollar exchange rate value, the naira keeps being devalued. So it's unfortunate that we Nigerians will have to bear the brunt, right? Even the airlines have even stated that they've gone to their limits where they can no longer stress their passengers to pay huge amounts. People no longer travel as required. We will now make necessary travel because of the hike in airlines and prices thanks to COVID. And now you're now seeing hike in diesel and jet A1 prices. And even the airlines themselves know that if they further increase the cost of passenger travel, they would lose their customers. And I don't think they want that. Looking that they want to come back to the normal boats pre-COVID. So it's really dicey, and it's all geopolitics at this point. It depends on how the negotiations between Russia and Ukraine and how the West and Europe is able to meddle into that activities to calm the ongoing war.
Now, you've said, and we said as well earlier on, that diesel is deregulated, as are the other products, petroleum products. They are deregulated, and that's why they don't have as much of a buffer as petroleum, premium motor spirit does, because that is subsidized. But given that petroleum is heading that way as well, the federal government intends to remove subsidy. It would have done so earlier, except it felt this was the wrong time. But it seems as though that is inevitable. But given what we are currently experiencing, does this make a case for perhaps reconsidering our stance on the elimination of fuel subsidy? Because in as much as Nigerians complain about what a big hoax the whole fuel subsidy petroleum, as you know, those who purchase diesel are currently paying. So does this mean that we should perhaps reconsider or take a second look at another alternative instead of completely eliminating fuel subsidy?
The conversation around elimination of fuel subsidies just lacks political will. There's no economic understanding or economic standpoint as to why the Nigerian government is still paying fuel subsidies. People, even the Labour, come out to say, you know what, if we fix our oil refinery, that would help to meet the fuel demand in the country. But unfortunately, that is not the case. Like you rightly said, in other countries, petrol is more expensive than diesel. But because the Nigerian government keeps subsidizing, that's why we have the reverse here in the country. We have 5 refineries currently in Nigeria, with a combined capacity of about 445,000 barrels per day. As at 2020, the 2021 figures is not out yet. Fuel demand in Nigeria was 42 million liters. That was the fuel demand. So even if we have all 5 capacities running, or you tend to fix the current refineries and get them running and producing, it still cannot meet that demand. The conversation around subsidy is something that lacks political will, and we just keep pushing for doomsday. There is no, if you allow the market forces to drive the cost of petroleum, we will be paying the actual price of petroleum products. Now, what's happening currently in the diesel market is deregulated. You and I know it's because of the current geopolitical issue. That's why they're experiencing this hike. And you should also remember that we devalued the naira. So it's not necessarily about the cost of international prices. It's also about the value of the naira. It's also about the value of the naira in exchange for dollar. If we have performing refineries in the country, that would help, limit the pressure of import. But it doesn't eradicate that. And it doesn't even start today. Even if we start getting up our refineries, it takes a while for us to meet up. The U.S. currently imports oil products. However, it's been able to reach up its local refining capacities that can service 60% of its population, 60% of its consuming capacity. That is where we should be heading at, not talking about subsidy. If we're able to boost our refining capacity locally, we would not really be paying much, because we start seeing the actual cost of production locally. And aside that, also the fears that the market will face is that locally you have a lot of factors to put in place. Even if, when you look at it from a consultant and look at the cost of importing, right, and even producing locally, if you speak to the players in the industry, they will tell you they're prepared to import products to the country rather than produce locally because of the cost of doing business in the country. Operating a refinery, transporting the product with the risk of security and all that. You find out that we might even be paying more, even if we refine locally, than what we're currently paying if the government should move something, for example, and we see the actual value of the market. And we say, you know what, let's not even import, let's refine our capacity locally. We might even pay more than we import the oil products into the country. So the conversation around subsidy is long overdue. I just think it lacks political will and capacity. The government is just afraid, and Labour keeps making the masses feel they would suffer, even making them feel they will suffer. Oh, we need to get refineries operating. Even if we get our refineries operating, these refineries do not have the capacity to meet the consuming demand in the country.
Let's get to diesel for a bit now. What are the multiplier effects of this diesel cost? Because during the period when we had this fuel scarcity, maybe some pockets of it here and there as well, We saw that it impacted the prices of many things, transportation, even several, the price of several commodities in the markets also went up. Diesel as well. What are the multiplier effects of the rising cost of diesel?
So there's no alternative for diesel. To be honest, there's no alternative for diesel. Just like in the aviation industry, there's no alternative for Jet A1 at the moment. So people have to use it. So yes, like you rightly said, it had impact in transportation. You would see, we're looking at the inflation numbers coming out today in Nigeria. And I kid you not, if it continues like this, the numbers have been decreasing marginally for the last 9 months. But unfortunately, it's likely to go back to upward trajectory. Food inflation, transportation costs, generally even the cost of living, and more Nigerians, unfortunately, will keep on moving closer to the poverty bracket. That's the impact of this, because businesses will still operate. And just yesterday, unfortunately, the national grid went down, so there's even no consistent power supply, and people would have to operate and run their business, and it will impact on their OPEX. They still want to make profit, so the end customers like you and I will bear the brunt. Prices will go up across all levels.
Speaking of the disruption in the supply chain from the electricity grid or the national grid, do you think that could be another factor that is shooting up the price of diesel, given that more people are using diesel more, that power is even more epileptic than it usually is?
I don't think that, like I rightly mentioned, it's just, I think the issues around the electric power supply gives more importance and gives more audience to the price of diesel. So imagine if we have good power supply, constant power supply for like 1 year. We hope for that one day. I do not think the business owners would complain so much or give audience or give that cry to diesel prices. The factors that drive diesel prices is alienated from power supply. It's strictly our exchange rate against the dollar, which is international currency, the landing cost, to getting your product, custom duties, and transporting to the depot, as well as the international cost of crude in the market. So if our naira is strengthened against the dollar, the price of diesel will not be what it is today. And if there's constant power supply, there would not be over-reliance. So that gives the marketer the edge to, negotiate and get the supply. They currently have the supplying power and can determine, even if the government says, okay, let's take for instance the issues we had with fuel scarcity during the last week of February, right? Even when the government insisted that people should stay on a particular rate, we all went to the fuel station to get fuel, and you could see these fuel attendants selling at 200, 250, 300, and we're buying. They have the supplying power. So that the epileptic power supply only gives power to the suppliers to, change the prices against the standard price in the market. It doesn't necessarily affect the cost of diesel. It only gives the supplier the power to manipulate the prices. The factors that drive the cost of diesel in the market is different, is not related to our electric power supply. It only gives over-reliance and over-importance of diesel, because we have to use diesel, we have to use fuel.
Our guest this morning is Ese Osawoin. She's an analyst with SBM Intelligence, and she joins us from Lagos. And we're looking at the astronomical rise in the price of diesel and its multiplier effects. We've done a report, our newsroom did a report on this, spoke to some businesses who lamented how the skyrocketing of diesel prices is impacting their businesses, and Ese is breaking it down for us as well, letting us know what this means for us, both on a national and international level. If you'd like to let us know what you think, we have Facebook where we're live streaming. Splash FM 106.7 is our Facebook name. On Twitter, it's Splash FM 106.7. 106.7 actually. That's Facebook. The other one I mentioned is Facebook. Twitter is Splash FM 106.7. The hashtag is Panorama. And WhatsApp, if you want to get your comment across, just text it to the number 0817 555 1067. Now, Esther, back to you. Is there any way that the government can step in, given that it has sort of it has a hands-off, approach, because diesel and these other petroleum products are deregulated. But is there any way the government can step in? There's talk of, illegal refineries, modular refineries. I read somewhere that modular refineries do not necessarily have the capacity to refine lighter products like petrol, but they can do diesel in small quantities and the like. But do you think that would help offset anything? Is there any way really that the government can do anything to make this less grueling for the Nigerian people?
So, I think last year, running into 2020, we heard about this, the people want to run, players who want to run modular refineries. Yeah, refining locally is important. Refining locally is key. That would only help reduce the pressure of importation and increase distribution of production locally. However, refining locally has its own perks and its own challenges which the players will face as we try to get products into the market. I think what the government can do for now is obviously not subsidy. I've listened to analysts yesterday. People have indirectly or directly had conversations around, the government to get stepping, subsidize. There should not be room for that conversation at all. If you look at what led to petrol subsidy, when it was supposed to be a bunch of conversation around petrol subsidy, it was something similar like this. We needed products to come in, and it was like, you know what? The government is subsidized to be able to bring in products. And that was how subsidy started. It was meant to be for a short period of time. But unfortunately, till to 2022, we're having 3 trillion naira going into subsidy. There's a conversation around the government, allegating the paying, adding some payments or there. It should not even be in the conversation. Yeah, encourage modular refinery, but also help beef up security in that area. Because we want you to refine. We want you to be able to safely transport the refined product to the depot and distribute to the marketers as well as the direct consumers. Also, the issues around effort. Access to effort. Quick and timely access to effort is very imperative and very key. The ban is the key, according to the CBA. How many people can really walk into the bank and access dollar? Even when they have the importer-exporter window for importers to access foreign currency to get in products, they cannot, and they have to rely in the black market. So I think that's where the government can also step in. Yes, help beef up local refining, but as well as allow these marketers get access to effect so they can be able to bring in products rather than use FX as a guarantee to supply. Because that's what they're currently doing. Supplying to those who are able to purchase the product in FX because they do not want the naira.
Before we get to the phone lines, let me take you back a bit. When you talk about labor's demands as regards subsidy, talking about its impact or the attendant impact on the people if subsidy on petrol is removed. And there is an actual example with what is happening with diesel now. Everyone can see how it's impacting businesses, how manufacturers might have to eventually increase their prices, which will eventually fall back on the people. Wages are static, nothing is increasing in that regard as well. So don't you think labor has a point as regards the effect of a subsidy? And the government doesn't seem to have a clear plan. Okay, this is how we intend to ameliorate the challenges that might arise if we...
I'm not negating the point labor is making. It definitely would have a direct impact on the economy. You say, are we not pushing things? Is my question. How far can we go? Currently, continuous payment of fuel subsidy is no longer sustainable. The government coming out to say that they do not want to pay fuel subsidy. It's tightly linked to the fact that they realize that it can no longer sustain them. They can no longer sustain this. We did a research, right, early this year, and we realized that from 2017 to 2021, the cost of fuel subsidy payments jumped 890%. And I can remember last year when CI was asking this amount of petrol products that, they keep on finding the system of the amount it brought into the country, of the amount it brought into the country. You really have the consumers that consume it. So it's not really about the fact that if the government wants to keep on paying subsidy or not, is that can it be sustained? We're getting to the point where we're using borrowed funds to fund subsidies. Another argument Labour also makes is that, instead of you removing subsidy like that, why don't you go on to revamp the existing operating refineries? Now, if you revamp, for example, let's say the government goes on to listen to Labour and revamp the existing 5 operating refineries, and look at their refining capacity, even not up to 500 barrels per day. They refine them. You still have structural challenges that these businesses face. And you realize that if these refineries are being brought back to operating capacity, and subsidy is now removed, since we now have operating refineries that are being produced on a daily basis, there are infrastructural challenges that these refineries will face, that other businesses in Nigeria, not necessarily in oil and gas states, currently face. You still suffer issues from vandalism, post-committed issues, security, and all that. And once they start facing that, and remember these refineries are government controlled. The government, in order to ensure that these refineries are right, and also have to meet up their production capacity on a daily basis, will still be giving one form of subsidy on just to ensure they go on as operating capability. If you speak to people that operate in this space, right, people that have oil wells, even people in the midstream sector, what they produce compared to what gets out for export, even circulated in the market, they still face issues on security and other challenges. So I'm not saying that what Labour is saying is wrong, but I'm saying even if the government goes on to do what Labour wants and ends up removing subsidies, Nigerians will end up paying more for fuel than what they are paying now, with subsidy combined. The government pays over 105% or so. So we are paying 165, and if you go to the depot, the price goes for 340 or thereabouts. Nigerians will pay more than 340 if at the end of the day we are producing oil locally in the country and there's no more subsidy. We will not even pay 340 that the government is subsidizing for. We will pay more than 340. That's what I'm trying to say, that what the state Labour is making about the suffering, even if the government listens to Labour, we will still pay more and we will still suffer more if other economical factors are not.
All right, I would like to appreciate you, but let's get to the phone lines now. Let's get a listener to be a part of the program. 0704 400 1067, 0817 444 1067, 0817 555 1067 are the phone lines to be a part of the program. You can also try 0705 050 1067. Let's take our first call now. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, Alaji.
The Yoruba program will say, so we should respect all the education, because the issue of the policy the government is supposed to be followed is the issue of this regulation and open up the market of the what we also call the petroleum system, where everybody will come and invest. That is where we are going to enjoy the dividend of it. But now the war of the also called Ukraine cut off, and there's no way the government wants to give. They don't have money to subsidize. I'm telling you, there's no money. You see, the actual side, the labor unions, everybody, the police now are there and trying to go. Where are you going? So the moment you don't have a good government sector. Thank you. That's the point.
All right. Thank you. Well, it's not true that Nigerian police force is trying to go on strike. So let's just state that for the record.
Don't believe everything you read on social media. The numbers to call are 0705 050 1067, 0704 400 1067, 0817 444 1067, and 0817 555 1067. That's also the last number, is also the number to send a WhatsApp comment to. Twitter, Splash FM 1067, hashtag Panorama, Facebook, Splash FM 106.7. We're looking at the rise in the price of diesel, which has gone up by over 200% in the last 1 year, given the situation in Russia. Actually, maybe more accurately, one should even say in the last couple of months, because this rise is, most of the rise is within the last few months since the beginning of this year. Hello, good morning. Good morning, what's your name? You're live on Panorama. What is your name? All right, well, we'll let you call us back once you have your affairs in order. 0705 050 1067. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Flash.
What is your name?
Lola, good morning, and Afolabi is my name.
Good morning, Afolabi.
Yes. I want to say that it is a shame for this country that we'll be talking about the hiking price of petroleum products. Now, let me tell you, may I correct you? You said the Ukrainian war has led to the hiking price of diesel. And when have we started experiencing that hike in price of diesel? From the figures you gave to us this morning, it started since last year, even this January, and look at where we find ourselves. The problem is about the system failure. We have refineries that can take care of our local demand. To the best of my understanding, the 4 refineries we have in Nigeria can still give us up 445,000 barrels per day, which will take care of our local demand. But what have we done with those refineries? We have made those refineries an avenue for corruption, avenue for milking the nation. So that is where the problem lies. And sent to another country where they gain more. At least they can still gain up to about 34 byproducts from crude oil, which include diesel, aviation fuel, and others, even grease, engine oil, and so on. So the problem is our culture, and that is killing us.
Right.
This will even extend up to the food issue. There will be food crisis now. Things that we're supposed to have taken care before now.
All right.
We have good land. So it is a system problem.
Afolabi, thank you very much for your contribution. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Bayo on the line from Obanzoko.
Bayo, thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
If we continue saying all this thing, we will be repeating it. The problem is just leadership. Let me shock you. I was shocked yesterday. I was surprised when I wanted to buy a kerosene yesterday. Do you know nobody's talking about that? A liter of kerosene is 650 naira from a major marketer. And do you know who are using kerosene? The old people, they are not using that, they are using kerosene. We are not talking about that. The problem we're having in this country, to be sincere, is leadership. Forget about it. Do you know how many times this present government has said they want to repair the refinery, and a lot of billions of naira are spent on it, and nobody queried them. Nobody questioned them. My dear sister, is a leadership. The only thing we can do is let's just take things by ourselves and decide on what to do by ourselves. This government, they are not ready to do anything. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution.
By doing something by ourselves, I
assume you mean voting.
getting our PVCs and going to the polls next year.
Because that's the only constitutionally recognized way to do anything. Hello. Oh, turn down the volume on your radio set, please. Thank you as you comply. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
What is your name? Yes.
Yeah, it's Nicholas.
Nicholas, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, you see, there are Nigerians in this country who have been in national darkness throughout last year in the 36 states. And in some parts of the capitals of the 36 states. So they don't even care if national grid has collapsed. Secondly, Nigerians who don't understand what bread looks like as breakfast. So even if Russia stops sending us wheat, it doesn't matter to them. You see, let me just be brief. The last caller was talking of tourism. It appears that when things affect the airlines, now it appears like it's a national problem. But I will summarize with Taribo West. We went to a World Cup and we performed badly, and he was asked what happened. He said, when you take monkeys to a World Cup, you get the result of AIDS. Then Chinua Achebe, when he was explaining why he refused a national award from Nigeria, he said renegades from the central government have taken over his states. The people who own these refineries, they have shares in the companies they refine them. And those who supply generators to Nigeria, they enjoy when the national grid collapses. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Have a nice day yourself, Nicholas. Let me correct the impression that discussion of the price of diesel is an elitist one. We've broken down how the spike in diesel price will affect everyone, from the cost of haulage, the tomatoes that are being transported from different parts of the country, even other materials, building materials. Articulated trucks run on diesel. And from reports I read, some of the trucks that were transporting for 350,000 naira weeks ago are now transporting for about 550,000 naira. You know they will spread this cost on the goods. So the goods you're going to buy in the market, you're going to see an increase in those. Trains as well are also used to transfer materials across the country.
Many people are already buying sachet water, higher than it was before. And of course, what the producers said is the cost of production has gone up.
There you
Diesel
go.
has impacted that.
There you go.
A bag of sachet water that you buy for, say, 150 or 200 before, you buy between 250 and 300 naira now. So that is even one of the closest examples.
I mean, pure water used to be like literally the most affordable thing one could think of, but now it is out of the reach of, everyone. So as valid as the point is about kerosene, doesn't mean that diesel is an elitist matter. You may not directly use it, but it's prices will affect you in some way. 0705 050 1067, 0704 400 1067. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Hola, buddy. Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead, please.
I think it was just last week I went to the market and by my own and to be brief, I just couldn't. I was crying inside because almost everything, almost all consuming commodities that we used to buy, and that was in the space. We go there, I think once in a month. 3 days ago, I saw. We grew up there. I saw people buying the ice water, the one that they used to bag in that nylon. So, honestly, these days we just feel like, let me just turn off the radio because there is barely anything that will be of cheering news anymore in Nigeria.
We implore you not to turn off your radio. But thank you, Olabode. Yes, absolutely.
But let's get to...
let's make this our last quick call. Then we'll wrap things up with essay and get to comments on social media. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, Johnson Olufatobi is my name.
All right, you have 1 minute exactly.
It's a pity Nigeria is going through hell, and it's as if the government is totally confused. The effect of the diesel price is the low, the standard of living of average Nigerians will go down. And the lifespan is reducing. If we can imagine the death rate that is being recorded every day, if you find out the cost, it's as a result of the bad governance. May God bless this nation and may God save us in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much. We hope so too. Let's read a few comments and we'll quickly pan to essay.
What's up? Good morning. Akintunde from Abeokuta. Please save us. I am an entrepreneur. I render services, laundry and dry cleaning. My business is at half capacity because of the high cost of diesel. Well, I can save you because
we're experiencing the same. Well, let's let Issei give us her, concluding thoughts before we let her go and go on a commercial break. Issei, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Greta. Thank you, Lola.
All right. Thank you so much. So we have about 40 seconds. So if you could just wrap up your thoughts on all we've discussed.
I think I listened to all the commentaries and also like to point out that aside, yes, we all understand issues of leadership. We should not negate the fact that there have been issues in security, specifically around food security in the country that's impact on transportation and has also had direct impact in food inflation and rising costs in the market. And I think as much as we try to push the blame to leadership, we should also not negate the fundamentals that cause those prices to rise. And this is why I think the government can step in. Not necessarily just crushing down the prices, but what are the reasons why prices are rising and what can the government do? Currently, where the Nigerian government can come in is really around strengthening the naira against the dollar, boosting local refineries so at least imports, so they are able to, service a sizable percent of the local consumption in the market, as well as reviewing current landing costs, which is within government control. We do not have the terrain to control international prices, but the naira against the dollar would help reduce the cost of diesel in the market, as well as PMS and the like. So people should not just talk about the government crashing price. We all go to the market every day. Okay. But there are reasons why these prices are going up, and I think that's what our listeners should focus on, and that should be a pointer to the government to step in, not necessarily looking at the problem, but what are the root causes and how can we as Nigerians as well as the government put heads together. There's also 2023 coming. Enough of the complaints. Get your card, go out and vote, so you have leaders who understand our plight and are able to solve our problems.
Right. Thank you very much, Issei Osawoyi, analyst from SBM Intelligence, for so generously sparing us your time this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
We'll proceed on a commercial break. When we come back, we'll read your comments on social media. So send more if you intend to. We'll be back after this time out.
Panorama.
Panorama. Panorama.
Panorama.
Panorama.
Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
I like talk radio.
Welcome to your number one talk radio station.
Fasten your seatbelts.
This is your favorite station.
Splash FM 106.7.
bí a bá ṣe tán ìgbésẹ̀ lókù torí pé a kì í kálàṣe kò pé iṣẹ́ o àfi aláṣẹ tán lórí ìgbàgbọ́ tẹni sí iléeṣẹ́ aláṣẹrí Classy Home and Property Limited ni wọ́n ṣe ní ilẹ̀ tí wọ́n ti wá dìrọ̀rùn báyìí fún mùtúmùwà Kọ́bápẹ́ Town Randa Òṣèlè àti Ọ̀yọ́ Dam 100,000 ní báyìí Òṣèlè Gúúsì Estate Phase 1 Sábóṣẹlẹ̀ Kẹ́tìtún Randa Island Phase 1 300,000 ní Lájà Àbálẹ̀ ilẹ̀ sí ibẹ̀ káàkiri Abẹ́òkúta bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni ilé oko wọn Kọ́bápẹ́ Òṣèlè Alábàtà Mọlọ́gẹ̀dẹ̀ 50,000 ní plọ́ọ̀tì kan bẹ́ẹ̀ bára plọ́ọ̀tì mẹ́ta ẹgbà ìdajì sí bó sì jẹ́ éèkà lẹ́ra odidi kan lẹ́gbà sí 4 Mochud Abiola Way nílé Ogoro Daily Express furniture gan-an wà lábẹ́òkúta 08033086557 08033086557 bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń gbé ìgbésẹ̀ dandan ní kẹ́ ẹ tẹ̀síwájú lórí àwọn àfojúsùn yín. 20 oṣù kẹta tá a wà yìí láǹfààní yòókù.
alákòóso ètò ìkànsíraẹni lọ́nà ìgbàlódé ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Isaac Pantami ń pe gbogbo àjọ ìjọba àwọn àjọ ẹlẹ́ṣọ́ ààbò àwọn aláàtò ìlú àti gbogbo àjọ aládàáni tí wọ́n ń lo òpó ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ ti rédíò èyí tí àjọ náà fóun tẹ̀lé àti àwọn tó ń lò tó ń ta ẹ̀rọ alágbèéká ti walkie-talkie síbi àkànṣe ètò ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lọ́jọ́ méjì tí iléeṣẹ́ ìkànsíraẹni lọ́nà ìgbàlódé gbé kalẹ̀ tá a pè ní ètò ọ̀sẹ̀ àmójútó àmúlò òpó rédíò pẹ̀lú àkórí mímú òpó lílo ìkànnì rédíò lọ́kùnkúndùn ọjọ́ 14 oṣù kẹta ọdún yìí ni a ó ṣe ìwọ́de ní Alaba International Market àti gbogbo agbègbè ìlú Èkó pátápátá. Ọjọ́ 15 oṣù kẹta ọdún yìí ni ìfọ̀rọ̀wérọ̀ láàárín àwọn ìkàn nínú iṣẹ́ ìlò òpó rédíò èyí tí ó wáyé ní Digital Bridge Institute ti ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ìkọ́ra ẹni ti NITED tẹ́lẹ̀ rí tó wà ní Òṣòdì nílùú Èkó. Fún àlàyé sí ẹ pè 003-438-0296 fún àwọn tó fẹ́ kópa lórí ìkànnì ayélujára ẹ kàn sí wa ní www.comtech.gov.ng. Olùkéde AA Landan fún akọ̀wé àgbà.
Akọ́lé màrà lẹ̀.
Bí a bá ń fọgbọ́n ṣe dandan ká gbé ìgbésẹ̀ pẹ̀lú rẹ̀. Ìgbésẹ̀ ọ̀hún rèé tí iléeṣẹ́ àgbájọ Homes and Property ní ká gbé gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọlọ́gbọ́n torí pé a ò gbọ́dọ̀ sí kọ́kọ́rọ́ kù. Ọ̀yá Dam Pressure Estate 200,000 ní tẹ́lẹ̀ báyìí 100,000 lẹ́sàn. Gúúsì Estate Òṣìẹ̀lẹ̀ àti Randa High Level 100,000 lẹ́tàn. Ilẹ̀ ń bẹ ní Ìdíòrì Blessed City Garden 2.4 million naira ní tẹ́lẹ̀ báyìí 1.2 million lẹ́sàn. Onígangan 1 million naira ní lọ́lọ́ báyìí 500,000 ní gbẹ́tàn rẹ̀. Ilẹ̀ oko mọ́lọ́gẹ̀dẹ̀ orílẹ̀ lógún ọlọ́run dá 25,000 ní plọ̀tì báyìí. Ilẹ̀ àgbẹ̀ kọ́bápá alábàtà ọ̀pẹ́jì 30,000 per plot. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bára plọ̀tì mẹ́ta ìdajì lẹ́gbàsí. Ó sì jẹ́ éka lẹ́ra ẹ̀ ó gbòdìdì kan sí 39 NT Road Ọ̀gbẹ̀ Abẹ́òkúta 07044648338 07044648338. Gbé ìgbésẹ̀ lónìí a ò ní sí kọ́kọ́rọ́ kù. Ogúnjọ́ oṣù kẹta tá a wà yìí láǹfààní yóò pin.
Honey, must you go?
Baby, you know I must. Besides, you can always video call me.
Hey, what if your battery runs out?
I've got my power bank.
Hey, and when your power bank runs out?
Babe, I've got my laptop.
Okay, wait. What if your data runs out?
Babe, you know we never run out of data.
Never run out of data with Airtel Home Broadband Unlimited Ultra plans. Enjoy unlimited data with no speed cap plus extra data daily, so you never have to worry about running out. Visit www.airtel.com.ng/HBB to get started.
Babe, but I just left the house.
Yes, honey. It's video calling all the way.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Birds do not struggle to fly, neither do babies struggle to cry. These are their ways of expression. They learn and grow in progression. But when the bird is always caged and children do not feel engaged, life is boring, school is appalling, and lofty dreams are disappearing. Wouldn't you like to fly like me, to go to school and feel at home? Would dad and mom not feel secure to know their future stands crucial? To be happy, to be learning, to becoming a total child. Join me at Nobel House College, Olusegun Obasanjo Hilltop Estate, Okemoson, Abeokuta.
Our entrance exam dates are March 5th and March 26th, 2022.
Forms are available on both our website and our premises. I'll be waiting to welcome you.
We educate. That's why we are respected. We inform. That's why we are loved. More music. We are the best. The Integrity Station. Splash, splash.
106.7.
Panorama.
Panorama. Panorama.
Panorama.
Panorama.
Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM.
Welcome back. This is Panorama on Splash 106.7 FM. Earlier, I took Akintunde from Abeokuta's message, and I wasn't trying to invalidate your experience and what you're going through. We're all hoping that somehow the government will step in, just like Asa suggested, strengthen the Naira and a few other suggestions as well. It's really tough doing business in this terrain, especially if your business relies on diesel heavily. And generators are supposed to be backups, backup power supply. But it seems like the main now, and the power supply looks like the backup now as it is. And the national grid crashed yesterday, and again piling more problems. But let's get to the rest of the message. Samson Yu Joseph said, "Beautiful morning, my people. I am Samson Yu Joseph. I said it yesterday, and I will repeat it again. Leadership is everything. Poor leadership has been Africa's problem, from federal government to the parents in the family. It is well." Thank you, Olajuwon says whether Nigeria has money to subsidize fuel or not, Nigerians will not agree with this government. Until this government cuts or reduce the cost of government and scrap some ministries and parastatals, we will not support the removal of subsidy. Also, your guest has not said anything to ameliorate the hardship that we accrue from the removal of subsidy. The government has failed us by not fulfilling one promise that was made during electioneering. That's from Olajuwon. Nicholas said, Lola, on what to believe, it can be complicated. We have journalists who believed there was no massacre in Lekki, and some who do. So what does the ordinary Nigerian believe? Bad leadership affects everything, from diesel to the cost of pure water. I concur absolutely. In human history, there are ways to change a republic. PVC is just one. Nicholas, well, we'll continue to say it repeatedly that that's the only legal way. Except if, and this is not a banana republic, of course. So, and he continued by saying the next election should be about all eligible Nigerians, analysts or non-analysts, professors and shoemakers, market women and air hostesses, clerics and pagans, essential and non-essential workers, so we would enjoy together if regenerated men are elected, or suffer together if Tasmanian devils are elected. And that's what we always clamor for on this program. And I saw the PVC figures from last week, and they look impressive. It looks like the figures from Ogun State. I think it was about 150,000 so far. The last time we talked about it, I think it was about 89,000 or thereabouts. So keep going. And I also saw a report that INEC is now devolving the registration to registration areas. You know,
nice.
You can't only go to the offices now. You can go to registration areas and get registered. So they are decentralizing it. So we suggested that the last time we had a rec here, and it looks like that has been done now. So maybe we'll bring more information as regards that later. But Engineer Tiami, you said, good morning, Panorama. Nigeria State now appear leaderless. No power, no water, no job, no money. May God save our souls. Finally, from WhatsApp, good morning, Splash. Akinwale from camp. Can we just stop talking about Nigeria and our many challenges? Let us just play and listen to music, watch comedies, and catch cruise. Enough of this sad rhetoric, Jerry. Well, Splash Extra does that for you much later in the afternoon, 12 to 3. Just music,
sports cafe,
cruise,
for whom sports is an escape.
There are several, ways. While we catch cruise, we can't close our eyes to the fact that many things are happening in the country, and we must talk
as
about
they
them.
say, denying your problems will not make them go away. So even if you want to bury your head in the sand, by the time you emerge, the problems will still be there waiting for you, which you are bound to find out when you go to the market, or you have to move from one spot to another. So it's always best to be in the know. I understand that sentiment myself, especially seeing as we ourselves are at the front line. You're talking about yourselves. What of we who read the news and bring
you don't
it
want
to
to
you?
imagine what
The kind of therapy we need for.
Eda Abiodun from Bode. Good morning, Splash. Good morning, Splash FM. I wish you good day today. Please, Lola Ngboega, where are we going? Can Nigeria get better again? Everyday news scares me. No more good news. In fact, I'm tired of the whole thing. And I'll be able from Bode.
Let me also add that amidst all these conversations we're having, no matter how depressing you may find them, this is happening at a time when you probably have the most agency in changing the course of leadership, because we're roughly a year to election. So if this had happened maybe 2 years ago, I'd understand, would say, we still have 4 years to go, 3 years to go. But next year is when we get a chance, if you think this leadership has not done right by you, to change it, to change the turn of that. So now is the time to get informed as to each candidate's manifesto, what they are offering, what they are, what they are bringing to the table, study their blueprint, and decide who you want to vote or endorse or campaign for. All right, now let's get to the newspapers. I have Twitter and Facebook to get to. On Twitter, we have Sheon Falola, who says, I'm not surprised when an elderly old man defined Nigeria as awakened to suffering. India's population is 1.3 billion. Daily petrol consumption is 150 million liters. Nigeria projected population 200 million. Daily petrol consumption 70 million liters. He says, the most important catalyst for economic growth and industrial development in any country are as follows. power, which is a reliable source of energy, access to credit or capital, a single-digit loan, security and enabling environment, and none of these is available here. To capital, government policies are not helping matters. Imagine devaluation of Naira. The few things we have are even useless, unproductive, and moribund. We have huge cheap labor, land, potential big market for any product, intellectual, and scholars. Do not look any further. The struggle and hardship is real. Right now, the country is sliding into self-destruction because of poor and horrible leadership that are living in a bubble and deliberately ignoring reality. Instead of justice, we're seeking power. With all the deceptive promises of change, no refineries working, Naira was devalued against other currencies, insurgency is yet to be defeated, cost of doing business in the country is higher than ever before, disgraceful and bad leadership of the highest order, he says. Akorede Kamil said, I still feel there are aspects of our oil export that are shrouded in secrecy. We're told there's no subsidy on diesel, yet in one way or the other, government still controls the price. Is the current price a result of market forces or government regulation? Government does not control the price with diesel, save for, with petroleum. They don't control the price. From Facebook, Raji Latif says, I always feel like crying anytime I hear how Nigerian government is importing fuel from abroad. This is so shameful and a very bad thing. All right, thank you everyone for your comments on social media. The conversation on issue of the day will continue tomorrow with a different issue of the day. In the meantime, let's get to the newspapers. I have Vanguard here with me.
And I have the Nation newspaper.
From Vanguard, gloves off. Obaseki, Wike fight dirty over party issues. Obaseki rises to Shaibu's defense, tells Wike PDP not his personal property. Adds Rivers governor cannot intimidate, cow or procure Edo people for his ambition. Wike fires back at Obaseki, says he's a serial betrayer, asks him to apologize to Oshomole. Drama as Abba Kyari's wife slumps in court. NDLEA requests federal government to place debit notes on Abba Kyari others' accounts. And there are actual pictures side by side of the wife of suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari, that's Ramatu, being carried out of the court premises after she fainted at the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday. Scarcity, airlines say we have only 3 days to shut down. That's also something that was talked about in our issue of the day. On convention, again, APC is to review its subcommittee's membership. LCC resumes toll operations on Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge April 1st. Oil prices fall below $110 per barrel per day as diplomatic talks to end Ukraine war continues. Nigeria's external debt service rises 37% to $2.1 billion. Energy crisis, nationwide blackout as national grid collapses. We have confirmation now that ASU has extended its rollover strike by 2 months. In ticket sales brackets. That's the final headline from the Vanguard.
The Nation newspaper, Wike Obaseki fight dirty in bids to control Edo PDP. Zoning anxiety in PDP over presidential ticket with the riders. Battle rages between North and South. National Caucus, BOT, NEC meet. INEC clears 16 for Ekiti 2023 poll as JAM registers 1.1 million candidates. Why we extended strike for 2 months by ASU. Local government autonomy vote a ruse, says Akeredolu. Airline operators to get aviation fuel import license. Abba Kyari's wife, Ramatu, collapses in court. Olubadan in council to review honorary titles. Lekki toll gate to reopen 1st April. I saw many people hoping that it's an April Fool prank.
Because of the timing, huh?
But let's get to the details now. Incidentally, we have a sponsored program that is taking part of this program on Tuesdays. Auto Clinic. So if you want to know more about your cars, car care, if you would like to ask radio mechanic questions, then you might want to stick around from 9:30. But we'll just quickly run through some of the stories here and see if we can take one or two calls. So let's start with Wike Obaseki fight dirty in bid to control Edo PDP. Rivers State Governor, here's on Wike yesterday, accused his Edo State Progressives Congress APC National Chairman Adams Oshomole had been vindicated. He said he was sorry for ignoring Oshomole's warnings about Obaseki, adding that everything the former APC chairman said about the character of the Edo State governor had come to pass. Well, this war of words, especially from people that are so revered in the society, governments, you know. I even saw a newspaper printout of the reply from Governor Obaseki after Wike had initially, talked about the deputy governor using some rather condescending words. It went as far as saying that deputy governor, where they wear khaki, all of these things. Is it for the soul of the country or for personal gains and, whatever it is? But
it's always interesting to see how their interests sometimes align, and then next thing you know, it's disbanding because the very Oshomole they are referring to, at the time the Obaseki Oshomole saga was going down, Wike had different things to say about that, and now he sees, according to him, reason in some of the things that Oshomole had said. But I mean, these power brokers, looks like the PDP is not exempt from the crisis rocking the APC as well. Let's head over now to ASU and check out the updates. Yesterday, during analysis, Eddie was saying that he'd read reports that the ASU strike had been extended by 2 months, but none of the newspapers had confirmed it at that point. But now they have confirmed, in fact, that the Academic Staff Union of universities has extended its strike by an additional 2 months, which means that if the strike is called off in 2 months' time, students will be returning back in May. But we have the PTA Association of Nigeria appealing to the federal government and ASU to resolve the issues, saying that these additional 2 months would have devastating implications on the education sector. And ASU has also cautioned the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and his Ministry of Education counterpart, Adamu Adamu, against taking trade union actions against university lecturers, such as, withholding their salary. And this is also something that Eddie mentioned yesterday, that while the strike is going on, the people who will suffer the most are the students, because the lecturers are still going to be paid. There's not going to be any cessation in their wages, but the students are going to lose out on 3 months of education. They're going to have, a rushed syllabus or a rushed curriculum for the entire year. So that's one of the issues. And I believe I also read here somewhere that the Minister of State for Education, Emeka Nwajuba, has said that the federal government has met all of ASU's demands, saying that all earned allowances as well as revitalization funds have been released. It's easy to understand why trust is low where, the federal government is concerned, because in the past, I recall them also saying the same thing, that we've paid off this amount, and months later, it's the same old story. But we'll look to see how things develop.
All right, let's check out another story now. Report claiming Osinbajo told Buhari of presidential ambition, mere speculation. An aide of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has said the Vice President has not told President Buhari of his ambition to run for president next year. That's according to Laolu Akonde, a senior special assistant to the President of Media and Publicity attached to the office of the Vice President, described as mere speculation in news reports claiming that his boss had disclosed his ambition. And I quote, the Vice President at first consulted some prominent Nigerians who encouraged him to vie for the presidency, and they also encouraged him to tell the president himself. But Now, his aide, Laudo Akonde, is saying that that is not true. I'll quickly read another story here too. Olubadan Council to review honorary titles. The Olubadan Council rose from his maiden meeting yesterday with a decision to review honorary chieftaincy titles conferred on individuals in the last few years. The meeting was the first to be held after Obade Balogun was enthroned as Olubadan last Friday. And of interest here is also that the High Chief, High Chief Ajibola, reveals the council's plan to fill the vacancies occasioned by the elevation of Dr. Balogun from Otun to Olubadan, which would mean the accession of Senator Rashidi Ladoja, the current Osi Olubadan, to Otun Olubadan. This would also mean that other chiefs will also step up, which means that our chairman, Chief Adebayo Akonde, will also step up and become the Ekarun Olubadan, which means that it would become a member of the Olubadan Council.
Well, interesting developments there. Now let's look at the drama in court as Abba Kyari's wife slumps in court during the proceedings. Her name is Ramat, and it was said that she slumped at the Federal High Court in Abuja shortly after the trial judge deferred the ruling on application that Kyari and 6 other persons filed. It says here that one of the women in court told journalists that she was asthmatic, and this fainting spells, really, it can be hard to sort of, you have to give everyone benefit of the doubt, regardless of what you think as to the genuineness of these fainting spells. But the fact that it happens so frequently and often in these high-profile cases does, sort of put a question mark on whether these fainting spells are timed to happen at exactly that moment to, cause whatever. But, we hope that she recovers from this.
From Abdurrashid Meina to Dasuki to, many of them. Somehow, when their cases are meant to be
Dino
Melai, they just come up with these ailments. But governors caution AGs on judiciary legislative autonomy implementation. That story is on page 28 of the Nation newspaper. Council autonomy rules, says Akeredolu. But there's a story of interest, the online version of the Punch newspaper. 1 of 4 Ogun teenagers arrested for roasting girlfriend's head released. And Ogun State's Magistrate Court, sitting in Abeokuta on Monday, discharged one of the 4 teenagers accused of killing and burning the head of the girlfriend, one of them, for money rituals. Chief Magistrate Ayo Abudu discharged 17-year-old Oladende on legal advice received from the State Director of Public Prosecutions. According to the investigation by the police, Oladende is innocent of that, so he's been released. The other 3 are still remanded in prison pending when justice will be served eventually. But let's see if we can sneak in 1 or 2 calls on WhatsApp here. Lola Nicola says, Lola, place an advert for vacancy in Splash and you will see Nigerians who will enjoy reading bad news and get paid. Well, Lola didn't say she's tired. She's just saying we also have to go through some sort of therapy, because we come here every day, we read these news, we take you through these issues, but then we're also Nigerians,
Right. Okay. Well, before we head to the phone lines, I'd just like to maybe read a few excerpts from the nationwide blackout as the national grid collapses, as well as airlines saying that we only have 3 days to shut down. It says here that Nigeria's national power grid collapsed again yesterday, leaving the entire country without electricity supply. This followed weeks of bickerings among operators that has led to poor power generation by the GENCOs. It says here that the Association of Power Generation Companies had on Sunday blamed poor management of the grid by the Transmission Company of Nigeria as one of the factors for low power generation in the country. And it's sad, really, that in 2022, we're still having the major electricity stakeholders, the GENCOs, the transmission companies, even the DISCOs, bickering among themselves and being unable to fix the problem or whatever problem, systemic or not, within the electricity sector, and give us, if not incessant or reliable power supply, or completely reliable power supply, at least good enough to power our businesses and our homes for most of the day. But as I said, I also want to read this one from the aviation sector as well, where the airlines are complaining and saying that they cannot afford the cost of aviation fuel anymore. They were represented by the Chief Executive Officer of Air Peace, Mr. Alan Unyama. According to this, they said fuel cost is about 30 to 40% of the operations in every climb, and in Nigeria it is about 70% even before this time. And they are encouraging the government to allow the operators themselves to import the product so that they can offset the costs, which has gone from about 190 naira to 670 naira, saying that if they continue flying, the average Nigerian will now start to spend 120,000 naira on an economy ticket. We weren't able to linger on this much during our issue of the day. As it is, even when we talked about the spike in diesel prices, we're already being accused of being elitist. So imagine if we had focused on the hike in aviation fuel, Jet A1. But evidently, it's affecting some people, some Nigerians. But we'll get to the phone lines now and take your comments on social media as well. Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp. Facebook is Splash FM 106.7. Twitter, Splash FM 1067. Hashtag Panorama. Phone lines 0704 400 1067, 0705 050 1067. Good morning. What is your name? Oh, we lost that call. Call us back if you can. The other numbers to call are 0817 555 1067. 0817 444 1067. Let us know what you think. Well, we have to go. We do have to go, unfortunately. We apologize. We cannot take your thoughts today, but tomorrow join us again from 8 o'clock. My name is Lola Neduteni.
My name is Boyeka Olani. Enjoy the rest of the day.